Hey, so in this video, we're going to be sharing our thoughts on marriage, so stay tuned. So, when are you getting married? How long have you guys been together? When are you going to pop the question?
And this is just some examples of the common questions that you get asked if you've been in a relationship for longer than 2-3 years by family, friends, and those types of questions come from like societal's expectations around marriage and time frames for marriage.
Right, because it's almost like society expects a specific order to how things are done, and it's supposed to be in a timely manner. So like if you guys have been together for 2 to 3 years, it's like, well, shouldn't you guys be engaged by now? Shouldn't you guys be thinking about, getting married? And then after marriage, it's like, well, how long have you guys been married? Like, shouldn't you guys be having kids anytime soon, right? So it's kind of weird how society has all these expectations. So I guess we'll get into like what we feel we should be doing with marriage and
our thoughts behind the whole thing without the influence of society. So my thoughts on marriage, well, I guess I'll give you a little backstory. We were all kids once. We watched Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and all these wonderful cartoons, or even just movies about like love and marriage. And they always have these grand weddings, and it's all so beautiful and everything happens so wonderfully
magical, right?
Yeah. And so I guess as a kid, I always fantasized about my dream wedding. And so as an adult, I realized that I fell in love not with the idea of marriage as an institute, but I fell in love with the idea of the wedding,
the big day,
okay. The big day for the thing. So, and now as an adult, I've been able to separate myself from what society's expectations, what movies and TV put out in the media about what, love and marriage is supposed to look like. And so now with that better understanding of like, I fell in love with the idea of the wedding. I truly did not understand anything about marriage, what it takes to be in a marriage. And so with that being said, I guess I do like the idea of marriage. Okay. Like, I do want to get married after, just taking some time to truly reflect on my own values and what I really want. That really comes from my own value of loving the idea of monogamy, honestly. Right. So that's why I think, marriage is a good thing, but you still have to separate, yourself from what you're seeing in the world, I guess, and really take some self-stock and be like, is this what I want to do? Can I commit myself to a person and know about the work that it takes to put in to have a successful marriage even? So, yeah.
It's funny. So like my take on marriage is very different. So I didn't have that same like fantasy of like a big wedding. Like Geneva and we have discussed like weddings and stuff like that, and I've never wanted a big wedding. I've never wanted to like have this grand magical ceremony that that everybody comes. It's just not something that I wanted. Like I honestly like the perfect wedding day is just me and G, and that's just sharing our love together. Like that's it. Like nobody else is included, because I feel like in a marriage, like it's between two people. Now the whole like expectation that society puts on marriage, I really don't agree with. So I think marriage is a good thing when it comes to the legalities of marriage. I feel like if you want to protect your family and you want them to be able to be set up in the event that something happens to you, I feel like marriage is like, beside like life insurance policies and stuff like that, but I feel like marriage protects them in that aspect. Now, do I feel like in order for us to have a successful long-term committed relationship, do we need to get married? Not at all. Like we've done so much together and we're not married, and it's like we're literally living the same way that married people live, right? But when I think about, like I said, if something were to happen to me, Like, I want Geneva to be in control of everything after that. I don't want it to be up to somebody else, you know what I mean, that doesn't really know what I want or what have you. I don't want someone else to get all the things that we've worked hard together and not go to her. So I feel like in that aspect, I feel like marriage is something that I consider and that we're going to do down the line.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think that because of our views aren't that different, we both think that marriage is good, you know, for different reasons, but how much do you think our views on it or our ideas about it have played on the fact that we haven't actually gotten married yet?
I think the biggest thing we struggle with is the actual wedding.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing that has delayed our process on like getting married is that we can't come to an agreement on it.
We've been engaged since 2017. Yeah. And it's what, 21?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's 22.
Yeah, we're going. Yeah, it's 22. So yeah, I honestly just think we can't decide or we can't agree on like.
Yeah, because we go back and forth a lot
about.
Well, because I guess it's mostly me because FeGe is pretty stern on what she wants.
It hasn't changed.
She wants the really small, maybe even just an elopement, just as two to like Paris or something. And you know, at first I agreed with that, and then you know those old ideas of the big grand wedding will come back to me, and it's like it's such a beautiful thing. You should share it with your family. Everybody else should see it. And then, you know, I just feel like it's something to share with family. And then other times when it's just me and her, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. Like, it could just be us. So I think that's one of our biggest hiccups when it comes to like, when are we going to get married? Because we would have been married already. We still ain't
planned the wedding, okay? Let's just say that. We ain't got nowhere with it.
So yeah.
And I think too, like, for me, like, the idea of marriage is, like, everybody feels like when they get married, it's, like, it's till death do us part. And that I don't agree with. I feel like we go through so many changes in life, and we go through so many different things. And I feel like you shouldn't be obligated to one person for the rest of your life. Is that if in the event that that's not what you want. Like, there are stages that you guys go through. And do I feel like you should work to stay committed to each other? Absolutely. But I feel like people change and things that they want change. And I don't feel like marriage should make it seem as if you're not allowed to amicably separate if you guys are no longer in love, if you guys are no longer compatible, if you guys are no longer in it. Yeah, exactly.
Or they do something that's unforgivable.
And that's one of the things that we've talked about. We're like, hey, if we ever get to a point, like, we're not married yet, but when we do get married, we're like, if we ever get to a point in our relationship where shit's just not working, like, we're just not going to be together. Because I honestly do not feel like, when I think about like my grandparents, their relationship and how they would stay in these relationships, they would get cheated on, they would be so unhappy. It's like, I'm not doing that. I don't care what they say about marriage. Oh, you have to pledge. No.
And I think that's part of what society will have you believing. It's like, you know, that happily ever after, like, y'all together, y'all in it forever. And it's like, and just back old school, like she said, her grandparents, like, that's not how it should be.
I don't think so. Yeah. And I honestly think, like, I feel like for us, like, I feel like recommitting, like, every 5 to, 10 years, I feel like I think that's going to be something that's really important and something that's implemented in our marriage, because I feel like we should take control of, like, how we live our lives, and to be able to say, you know what, it's 5 years, and say, you know what, I want to do this for another 5. Like, I want to stay with you. Like, I'm here with you. I want to grow with you. But I think just re-vowing to each other, you know what I mean, a certain amount of time from your actual marriage date or wedding date, I think that's important too. Yeah. And I think that's something that...
And that's you guys just re-solidifying, like you said, your love and your commitment to each other. You know, nobody's saying you have to do that, right. But I think that's something we'll do.
For sure. And as far as, like, us setting, I feel like we've gotten closer to, like...
Yeah.
confirming our wedding date and like
we still haven't figured out if it's gonna be an actual wedding or an elopement, but we know what date we want.
Yeah, but also like I feel like with weddings and with marriage, like it shouldn't be about other people. And I think that's the biggest reason why I don't want to have a wedding, because it's like a lot of times everybody is trying to factor in everybody else's feelings on what they think, or oh, they're going to be upset if we go elope or whatever. But honestly, like it's literally not about anybody but who's getting married. Like that's it. Like you have to take everybody else out the equation, because throughout your marriage, like it's going to be you two. And I don't think that anybody else's feelings about whether or not they're invited to the wedding or whether or not they're a part of the wedding should even be a thought or a decision factor.
And for me, I agree with FeGe totally on that, but I'm a daddy's girl. And that one moment, like if I mean, really honestly, if I could have that one moment where it's like my closest family and my dad walking me down the aisle, I think that would make the whole day full circle for me, which is why we're still kind of in a awkward spot. But, you know.
Nonetheless, we'll keep you guys posted.
All right, you guys. So that's the end of this video. We would love to hear your feedback about it. Mm-hmm. And as always, don't forget to
like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. See you next time.